Well, good afternoon. We're here again with LaRue Café. And what's interesting today is that we're a little early. We're not in the evening. We're here at 4:10 in the afternoon. But the good news is everything we say today, you can hear it again later this evening about 7 o'clock. We're so excited. Our guest today, when you talk about thinking out of the box and basing it on the data, our guest here today has some facts to talk about doing handling legal issues in a more holistic way. And so I've been just trying for a few weeks now, trying to get this issue up on the queue so we could have it on LaRue's Cafe. And now the good news about it today, it's in the papers, and somebody has a good public affairs person. So it's in the papers on the day of our show. We also have a bill that has been introduced into the legislature. And I really want to talk about also the fact of what public defenders do. We're going to bring all of that into play. I am so excited about this guest and this show today. I am, as you know, Jeannine LaRue. I'm the founder and I am the host of LaRue List Cafe. And right now, I'm going to bring on someone who's more than just another pretty face. I tell her that all the time. She is extremely bright and just amazing. So at this moment, I'm going to bring into the studio Shanique Talifero, who is our producer.
Wow.
Shanique.
Hi, hello, everyone. We are so excited that you are tuning in to this amazing podcast. We are going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. We are going to get deep today. And more importantly, we're going to bring someone on that's going to help to empower the communities. We are so excited that you're with us. If you're on right here, right now, the information that you're going to get today is going to be inspiring and life changing. So I'm asking you to stop. Go to your Facebook page. You see where that little share button is? Find that share button and share. Share this feed on your local Facebook pages. Share it with all your friends. Because let me tell you, the information that you're going to receive here today on La Rulas Cafe is really going to change someone's life. Every show that she puts on and that comes on to this channel is life changing. So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you comment. Make sure you engage. Any questions that you have, we are here for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to La Rulas Cafe. See you soon. I can't wait to hear what's happening next.
Thanks, Shanique. You are the best. As I say, you are the bomb.com. So we are going to get right to it. We're going to bring on our amazing guest today. I just absolutely love her. One of the things, as you all know, I'm vibrant with colors. So the thing I love about this particular guest, even though she is a cabinet member and she is a big time lawyer and all of those things, she doesn't wear those dull black and blue suits. She is like me. She is colorful and she is very, very smart and she thinks out of the box. And I'm talking about none other than the public defender of the state of New Jersey, Jennifer Sellitti. And we're going to talk about that name Sellitti because it's a trick for me and I'm learning how to pronounce it because somebody played a trick on me as far as the spelling of this name. But without further ado, we're going to bring in Jennifer Sellitti into the...
Hi, Jeannine. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's, first of all, how do you pronounce your name? I need to know about that.
So I pronounce it Sellitti, even though it's spelled like Sellitti.
And how did that happen? Because, you know, I'm a former English teacher and I go by what I see. And I said, something isn't right here, the way they're telling me she pronounces it and the way it's spelled.
Yes. So my grandfather, on my dad's side, my grandfather was Italian. He came here from Italy in the 1920s. And when he arrived at Ellis Island, they looked down and they pronounced his name Sellitti. And even though his name was Sellitti, he said, this is the way we say it in America. This is the way we're going to say it from now on. So because of some mistake by whoever processed his application when he came through Ellis Island, I am now Sellitti instead of Sellitti.
I love it. I love it. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today as we get started, I want you to just tell our viewers a little bit about you as an individual. What is your journey? How did you get to where you are today? What college did you go to?
So when I was young, both of my parents were educators. My mom was a language arts supervisor and my father was a school superintendent. But I watched, both of my parents had a very strong sense of justice. So even though it was in the educational context, both of them did a lot of work to make sure that students were getting the type of education that they needed and really involved community in the education process. And although I wasn't interested in becoming a teacher, that kind of instilled in me this sense of the importance of sort of government and community working together. And I developed when I was young a passion for the law. Predominantly came from seeing what was going on across the United States with the death penalty and my just horror at watching what was happening in certain states. And so when I became a lawyer, I knew I wanted to be a public interest lawyer. I knew I wanted to defend the most vulnerable individuals and went to criminal defense, naturally just gravitated to criminal defense. So undergrad, I went to Boston University, got a little bit sidetracked there. I wound up being a communications major and worked in corporate America.
Hey, don't knock it. That's what I was. I was an English major and a communications minor. I thought I was going to be a big time reporter. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So because I was a communications major, I was interested in that and then kind of went into corporate America because I got a good job offer. I started working and then said, this is not where my heart is. So I went back to law school. I went nights. I went to Suffolk University in the evening and I worked full time during the day as a public relations person. And then in the evening, went to law school. And ultimately, when I graduated from law school, went to the public defender's office there for about 4 years and then moved back to my home, moved back to New Jersey and started as a public defender in Newark in our Essex County office. And then held a number of jobs in the agency until Governor Murphy appointed me to this post in late 2023, and I was confirmed in February of 2024.
So, I want to talk about this whole thing with public defenders because public defenders get a very bad rap. My sister she was in the first graduating class of Rutgers Camden Law School. And she was intrigued by the criminal justice. She wanted to be a criminal attorney, but she said, I want to be a public defender. And I kept saying, but why do you want to be a public defender? She's like, someone has got to help people get due process. She said that at the end of the day, everybody deserves due process. And she was a public defender for, oh my goodness, maybe 18 years. She absolutely loved it. And what I learned, because I always thought, well, public defender, most of the folks who have, which I think who have public defenders are, they have very little means. And some of them may not have the understanding of rights that other people do. And so I figured they're getting second-class attorneys. And my sister was like, I have some of the best lawyers in my section. She said, absolutely not. So tell me about being a public defender. We have some viewers out here right now who I am sure they have relatives, they have friends who are waiting for trials to come up. And some of them are a little nervous because they're being defended by a public defender. Let's talk about that.
So yeah, public defenders get a bad rap. I think it's everything from, My Cousin Vinny, where you see the bumbling public defender and a lot of movies and portrayals of the free lawyer not being a good lawyer. And honestly, in my experience, it couldn't be further from the truth, particularly in New Jersey. Our lawyers are coming from some of the best law schools across the country. It's extremely competitive to become an attorney in our office. And our lawyers, we are the largest criminal defense law firm in the state of New Jersey. We handle 65,000 criminal cases a year, and only in Superior Court. I think some people confuse us with municipal public defenders, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with municipal public defenders, But if you have a minor offense and you go to municipal court and you get a public defender in New Jersey, that is not one of our lawyers. Those are lawyers that are hired by the town to do that work, and many of them are very good lawyers. But the statewide public defender system in New Jersey are lawyers that are specially trained to handle felony cases, so indictable offenses in the state of New Jersey. That is all we do. And unlike private attorneys who kind of get to take cases as they find them, can reject cases, can say, I don't want this case, we have to take every case that comes across our desk.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And there's so much power in that and so much experience that comes from that. Because when you sit across from someone who is in crisis, they're at the worst moment of their lives sometimes, the media might be vilifying them, the whole world is kind of looking at them, judging them by the thing that they're accused to have done. It's our job to go in, to connect with that person, to get their trust, to get their confidence, and to represent them, to find that piece of them that we're going to fight for, and to find that defense for them and to take them through the process. And I can honestly say that the biggest joy for me in being a public defender is meeting someone and connecting with them and finding that connection, learning their story, and having the privilege of retelling that story to the world. And that is what we do. And we do it better than anybody else.
Wow, what a plug. Well, right now, I would imagine anyone out there who is a public defender is feeling pretty proud. Because
I'm
when
proud
I
of
read
them.
the article, and as well you should be, when I read the article where you made it very clear that many of these public defenders can go anywhere in a law firm. They really could go out and make a lot of money. And I guess they're not doing too poorly now as far as being paid. But I thought it was great the way you clarified it, because people are nervous about being represented by public defenders. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
So you've stumbled upon, I want to know about this pilot program that has been so successful. I am so intrigued by this. Let's talk about this pilot.
So one of the things that I came into this office committed to doing was moving to a holistic model of representation for the people we serve. And what that means is, rather than just representing people on their criminal case in court, which we are still doing, we are representing people, we are still doing all the legal stuff on their criminal case. But in addition to that, connecting them with the services that are going to help change the issues that brought them into the system in the first place. Like, we so often hear people talking about how crime is not really driven by people's desire to commit crime. Crime is driven by things like poverty, by mental health disorders, by substance use disorders, by all sorts of things that we can fix if we want to fix those things in the system. So what holistic defense does is it connects a lawyer with an advocate, a specialist who does those non-lawyer things by connecting the person we're representing to services within the community that are going to address the problems that brought them into the system. And that does a bunch of things. So first and foremost, for me as a public defender, what it does is improve people's lives, right? And that's what I'm interested in. But also what that does is it provides early intervention, which means we can resolve cases faster. It also reduces reliance on costly incarceration. It's very expensive to incarcerate people. And then the other thing that it does is it maximizes our public investment in two ways. One, by giving public defenders more time to lawyer and allowing specialists to do what they do best, which is connecting people to services, which helps our lawyers be more efficient government employees. But it also allows us to best utilize the services that are out there. There are a lot of services out in the community that our clients can take advantage of. Many of those are funded by the state government in part or in full. And by doing this, we can make sure that those services are being fully accessed by the people we represent. So holistic defense does all of that. I always say public defense is public safety, and holistic defense is really a model that shows how that can be possible.
So we have a question. Thank you for that. We have a question from one of our viewers, Says, can if a defendant wants to move his or her case to a state court, mainly to get representation from the New Jersey State Public Defender, can they do that?
See, we're already changing minds, Jeannine. See, somebody wants to move their case into Superior Court to our office.
Right.
Unfortunately, no. And quite honestly, if there's a municipal court case, that is going to be a disorderly persons offense. It's going to be a much less serious charge. So I don't want to give the impression that Superior Court is really where people want to be, because that means you're being charged with a felony that comes with lasting impacts on the rest of your life if there is, in fact, a conviction at some point down the line. So unfortunately, there's no way to ask for removal of a case from a lower court up into the state court. And I wouldn't think that would be something that would benefit someone in the long run.
So one of the other things that I am wondering about, we have some great statistics that came out of this pilot. Let's talk about that if we could. I mean, the pilot, I guess it ran in both 2024 and 2025.
Mm-hmm. We set up the pilot in 2024 and started in the beginning of January in 2025. So it's been a little over a year, about 15 months of full pilots, moving forward.
So you had 142 clients,
mm-hmm.
and in 2024.
No more, right? No, 100. It was 142 service connections in 2024 when the pilot was not running, and 773 service connections in those same counties in 2025. Oh, so a 442% increase in the number of services that our clients were getting from 2024 to 2025.
And we know what a difference that makes when people have, one of the programs I was working on probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and they call them frequent flyers, folks who are homeless, who are always in the ER, especially in the winter, to be treated. And folks are like, well, this is such an expensive way for healthcare. Why are they coming into the hospital? They were coming for food. They were coming for warmth, all of the things, the wraparounds. And so what happened was we worked on this program that put people in homes, especially during the winter. Mm-hmm. And what we found out is that if they feel safe and they're in a house, then they actually start going to doctors. They actually get their meds. Mm-hmm. And they actually start taking their meds. Yeah. So it's a holistic approach to healthcare. And it seems as though you have found that sweet spot now in the legal system. The thing I loved about what I read in one of the articles is that it's no longer just about the legal case. Mm-hmm. It's about the entire human. I love that.
And using your example of somebody who comes to us, what used to happen, or what would be happening in a non-pilot county, is a person like you described would come to us. We would be representing them. We'd be representing them on their case. And maybe 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, depending on how long the case is dragging on, there might be a point where we have an opportunity to get that person into probation, for example. And then now, 9 months later, the lawyer, who's not a client service specialist, is scrambling around to try to find and cobble together services in the community when they should be lawyering. What we're doing now is, as soon as that person is arrested, connecting them with an advocate who would be working on all of that while the lawyer is lawyering. And then 6 months, 9 months down the road, if that case is going to resolve, say, to probation, we can now submit a plan to the court that says, for 9 months, this person has been living here. They're on their medication. Here's a medical evaluation or a mental health evaluation. Judge, you can be really confident that this person doesn't need to go to state prison. They just need probation to keep them on this trajectory. So we're able to give the clients the ability to show demonstrable results, which again resolves cases faster. It saves costly incarceration. And ultimately, what I said I care most about, and I do care most about, changes people's lives. And going back to you talking about somebody being unhoused and mental health, 40% of the clients in our pilot program were unhoused, and we were able to connect them to housing. 60% had mental health diagnoses, and 80% of the clients who experienced unemployment or underemployment were able to get job trainings or jobs through our advocate program.
Yeah, this to me sounds like a no-brainer. It really does. And as we know with pilots, pilots are exactly that. They're here for a period of time, and there are statistics, there's the data, and then many times they go away. So, what are we doing to make sure that a program like that not only continues in 3 counties, but we need something like this statewide, it seems to me.
Yes. And so that is our goal, to expand this program across the state of New Jersey to all 21 counties. And there is a bill that was just introduced by Assemblyman Scher to institute this program across the state of New Jersey in all of our counties. And we're really excited about that, and excited about the attention it's bringing to, you said it best, so what seems to be a no-brainer. But it is a difficult budget year, and I understand that. But in a year that we're talking so much about government efficiency, right? That's what we keep hearing about, how to make government efficient. How do we make government transparent? I can't think of any better way to do that than through holistic defense. This is a program that will no doubt save us massive costs in state prison, costs that then can go back to the state of New Jersey in other ways. It costs $75,000 a year to put somebody in state prison, to keep somebody in state prison. We have 65,000 criminal clients. So you can take whatever percentage of that 65,000 number and multiply it by 1% of it, and multiply it by 75,000, 10% of it. I'm very confident that there are large numbers of our clients that could benefit from this kind of program, and we could save state prison costs, because our pilot shows that in the pilot counties, people are spending 2.23 years less in state prison per client. Every time that happens, that's $150,000 a year that the taxpayers are not paying to incarcerate that person. And they don't have to be concerned about public safety, because the program makes sure that these folks are getting what they need. And if you even just look at the success rates on pretrial release, 70% success rate of our clients on pretrial release in the pilot counties, which is much higher than non-pilot counties. So it is working, and it can work, and it has the potential to save a lot of money, in the hundreds of millions of dollars, as time goes on.
So it looks as though we have a bill number here. Let's see. I want to give this for our viewers. I think it is A4897. Is that correct?
That's it.
All right. So we have some of our wonderful viewers who are on here. You have quite a few people who have been with us during this show. We would like people to please write your legislators and let them know we need support for A4897. That A stands for Assembly Bill. And if you would help us out here with that, it would be very, very helpful. Now, do we have anyone on the Senate side interested in this bill?
So as our press release announcing the program said, Senator Wimberly, we believe, will be introducing it in the Senate. We're hoping that happens soon, but it hasn't been introduced on the Senate side quite yet. But we do have on the Assembly side, Assemblyman Scher, and 6 other Assembly people have signed on: Assemblyperson Stewart, Park, Kane, Peter Paul Rodriguez, and Sampson. And so it has support across the state on the Assembly side already, everywhere from Patterson and Passaic to Hudson, to Camden, Bergen, Monmouth counties. So we're hoping that gains steam too as word gets out about this. And as you said, today was the first day that the article came out and has been passed around, and the attention and response that we're getting from people across the state is really astounding. So we're hoping that turns into more co-sponsors for the Assembly side and more support in the Senate as well.
So, Public Defender, we have covered a lot of things here today. We know a little bit about you and how your name got to be the way it is, even though it's spelled one way and we pronounce it another way. We also learned about the makeup of your office of public defenders. That these are real lawyers trained to do a job, and with a heart, but they are trained to do a job. And anyone who has a relative or a friend utilizing the services of a public defender need not lose sleep over whether or not the lawyer's qualified. Now the crime, that's something different, but whether the lawyer's qualified. And then we also have some great data that a pilot program is not only cost effective for taxpayers, but it is also changing the lives of individuals, giving them hope and access to a lot of services that, by the way, they may have never had access to, even before these criminal activities. So I am so excited that you have come on to this show today and that you have spent several minutes with us to talk about this. I want to know, is there anything that you would like to say in wrapping it up, and anything else about your office that you would like our viewers to learn?
So if I could take those in reverse, I think the first thing is, I think people are surprised at the size and scale of the Office of the Public Defender of the State of New Jersey. We are 1,300 employees, 700 lawyers. The rest are investigators and support staff. And we don't just do criminal defense. We have a law guardian unit that represents children in child welfare proceedings, an Office of Parental Representation that represents parents in child welfare proceedings, a mental health unit that represents people who are in mental health crisis. So if they're a danger to themselves or others, and they're picked up and sent to a state hospital, our lawyers are in those state hospitals representing them. We have an appellate section, and we have a whole youth defense division, a forensic science division, and an immigration unit. So we have all of these units in the office. And so when we talk about holistically outward, it's all of the things that we just talked about. But inward, inside the public defender's office, another thing that we're doing is making sure we do interdisciplinary defense. So if someone comes to us, for example, with a case that might be involving a child, and we have a criminal lawyer representing them, and we provide the services from an advocate, they may also have a companion child welfare case. So we're making sure those lawyers are talking. Or if someone has a mental health diagnosis, that the mental health lawyers are talking to the immigration lawyers, right? So holistic defense works both inwardly and outwardly. And we have completely changed the way the agency does intake, what our technology systems look like, in order to support lawyers in being able to represent the whole person, not just through holistic defense in criminal courts, but by working with their colleagues across the agency in a more holistic way as well. And one of the other things that I did want to say about our advocate program is that we have been very intentional about bringing on advocates that are best suited to represent the people we serve. And we're really proud that a number of our advocates have come from backgrounds where their system impacted. In fact, several of our advocates spent time in state prison and are graduates of the NJ STEP program, which is a phenomenal program that offers college educations to people who are in prison. And our advocates are able to talk to the people we represent in ways that even the best and most empathetic lawyer can't. And I can tell you one story that I heard from one advocate in our Atlantic County office. There was a client that had continued to come back, and he was committing burglaries, larcenies, some things that were property crimes, no violent offenses, but he kept coming back in. And finally, the prosecutor said, "I want to send this guy to state prison. I've had enough." And the lawyer said, "You really need to address your mental health problem, as well as some other problems that this person had." And he didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to go to a treatment program. He didn't want to take his medication. He didn't want to do anything. One of our advocates came in and sat down and talked to him about the years that he had spent in prison, what he had seen, what he had learned. And they were able to bond over experiences that his lawyer just didn't have. And it was after that conversation between the advocate and that person that he said, "I'm going to give it a try." And we were able to defer him from state prison into a very intense, highly supervised probation that the judge said, one mess up and you're going to state prison. And that gentleman has been out doing probation, on his medication, working, doing things that he was never able to do before. And that's the power of this. The power of this is being able to take all the capabilities of a lawyer, all of the things that lawyers are really good at doing, but couple it with advocates who are really specialists in getting to understand what's causing that particular individual to commit crime, that particular individual to have problems in the past, and able to all work together to come up with the right solution. So that to me is one of the biggest parts of this program, is that the people that are doing this work are people who understand it in ways that their lawyer partners are just not able some of their lawyer partners are just not able to understand and experience it.
Well, my goodness, I remember when you were announced by Murphy that you were going to be nominated, and social justice advocates, who it takes a lot to get them excited about nominees because people have been disappointed so much. There was so much excitement about you. And listening to you in this program today, I can totally understand it. We have, I don't know if you know the name, I know the name, Gail Muhammad. She has been, oh yeah, right? You got a lot of folks who have been on here who are part of the inner circle, who know the system. Gail asked a question. I thought I was going to let you go, but there are two things that have come up where we're going to detain you just for a couple
No,
of seconds.
when I talk to you, I never want to go.
I love it. I love it. This is so fascinating. So Gail asked a question about a unit, and we know we don't have one, for people who are wrongfully convicted. What about that? I mean, it's so awful that folks they're not exhausting a lot of money because they are being defended by your office, but it's the time, it's the worry, it's the embarrassment. But tell me about that.
So we have a conviction integrity unit here within the Office of the Public Defender. It was formerly called our post-conviction unit. So they do a lot of things. One, they look at mistakes that might have been made during the trial that were not raised on appeal, and ways to do post-conviction motions to get people out. The other thing that they will do is take cases to the Attorney General's Conviction Review Board that will look at cases of actual innocence. And in the event the Conviction Review Board doesn't reverse the conviction, we will take those into court for motions for new trial. So there's a number of cases right now that we have that are currently pending that we're bringing motions for new trials in courtrooms because we believe people were wrongfully convicted. Some of those people, unfortunately, are still incarcerated, and others are out. And despite serving a long time in prison, are out and determined to clear their names. And we are really proud to represent all of them. And whenever we find a case of someone that we think was wrongfully convicted, we're going to do whatever we can and take whatever route possible, whether it's a motion for new trial in the trial court, whether it's another appeal, or whether it's going through that conviction review route to have them fully exonerated.
So thank you. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about, I've been watching you. You're all over the place with these expungement clinics. I am just enjoying that. Mm-hmm. Tell me about expunging these records and how you must feel when people have successfully gone through this process.
Yes. So the expungement unit, the story of the expungement unit and these community-based expungement fairs really, I think, is the story of this new public defender's office. And again, for anybody out there, I want to say this is not your father's public defender's office. This is the new New Jersey public defender's office. We are committed to putting clients at the center of everything we do and to being in the communities that we serve. And we'll take every opportunity to do that. So one of the things that I did is when I took over, our expungement unit is this awesome unit that was doing expungements, and we were pretty much just doing it in courtrooms for existing clients. But expungement is a service that is quick, it is easy, and we found that there were law firms charging like $1,500 to do an expungement for people, particularly for people who couldn't really afford it. So we said, let's go into the community and set up in churches and set up in barbershops and beauty salons and community centers and adult learning center, libraries. We've set up everywhere, parks and events. And we've taken the expungement show on the road. And we've turned what was a unit of people who were working internally into our office to a public-facing community unit that goes out and spends a great deal of their time in the community doing expungements in the places where people live. And the results have been extraordinary. In 2024, I think we did 2,500 expungements, and we started getting those fairs going. Last year, we did more than 8,000 expungements. And this year, I am determined to do more than 10,000 expungements.
And can you imagine now folks are getting identification, they're paying their fines, they're getting their driver's license. I mean, this dark cloud about these crimes that they know they can be expunged. They don't understand the process, and nobody was helping them.
And when we look at what happens with expungements, and I don't have all of my expungement figures exactly right here, but we see in the neighborhoods of 20-30%, you become more employable. Most people who come to us seeking an expungement already have a job, but the expungement is helping them from getting better work or getting a promotion or doing career advancement. So we're finding people are getting, when people come to us, they're able to free themselves and they're able to get better jobs and advance their careers. For Black and Brown communities, the number is higher. Their employability goes up by about 30%. For women, it's about 20%. And for on the average across the board, it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. I think it's closer to 20%. Your earning potential goes up by that much. So expungement is not just wiping away something that's on your criminal past. And again, this is not a free pass. You have to be 10 years offense-free for a lot of expungements, 5 years for others. You have to demonstrate a long period of time where you have not had an offense. So you earn that expungement. But once these people get it, their employability goes up. And that means that they can go back into their communities. They can be more productive. And again, that's where public defense is public safety. Our communities are safer and stronger because people have availed themselves of this option that is available. And like you said, a lot of people don't know about. And we've been able to do this with a lot of incredible partners. Stono Public Affairs was one of our partners in this. A number of different organizations that you mentioned. There's so many organizations across the state that we have been working with to do these expungement fairs, to put them on. Salvation and Social Justice being one of them, which I know is an organization near and dear to your heart. We've done these with so many fabulous community partners. So I think it is an example of that is like a small example of what we're trying to do with the entire public defender's office, which is to be a community-facing organization that is not just representing cases, but changing people's lives and impacting public policy that is going to change even more people's lives.
Well, I know you spent a lot of time in my barbershop, Razor Sharp, right there in Trenton.
Yeah.
And they are so excited. I mean, I look at them. Yeah, I go in every 2 weeks to get my little mohawk, fixed up a little bit. And they are so happy. They're like, Mom LaRue, we've had some of these guys. They've been coming in here for years. They had this cloud over their heads, and now they're looking to be real human beings. I mean, when you think about it,
yeah,
right?
I gotta
real
tell you,
human beings.
Yeah. And one of the best, this is my favorite thing in all of the expungement stories. And believe me, there have been many touching moments in these expungement fairs. But after that first one that we did at Razor Sharp, one of the barbers put my card on his mirror. Wow. And I started getting phone calls after the expungement fair. And it would be like, yeah, I'm sitting in the chair, getting a haircut, and the barber told me that I can get an expungement. Who are you? And I remember the first time I told my staff, they were like, your cell phone number is on the mirror in the barbershop. I was like, do not tell them to take it down. I love this. So I started I have a little sticky next to my desk. And every time I get a call from the barbershop chair, I make a little notch. So 18 of those expungements, of those 8,400 expungements, came from the chair and a phone call directly to the public defender of people about expungements.
Well, I know at least one barber is watching here today. So you Razor Sharp.
That's not my number.
I love it. Jen, oh my goodness, we are so blessed to have you where you are. Oh. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. And I tell you, I've been wanting you to be a guest on this show for a while. I want our viewers to know that this show can be seen on LaRueListCafe.com forever. It's going to be housed on the website, and you will be able, if any of your relatives or family members or colleagues, if anybody needs to hear some of the information again, go to LaRueListCafe.com, and it's always going to be there, and you'll recognize it because you're going to see this magnificent face right here, sitting there as on the contact. So I thank you so very much. I have to give your public affairs person, Karen, a huge shout out. She's been a joy to work with. And this is not your last time coming on LaRue's Cafe. I can tell by the viewership, the numbers have been up the whole time. And I know it's going to be one of the more popular shows. Thank you, Public Defender. We love you. Thank you for coming on here today.
Thank you so much. You are such a treasure and such an inspiration. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you so much. All right, folks, that's it. We are done with this show, and it's been another fun day with LaRue's Cafe. Thank you.